beautiful, how's it going? Thank you for tuning into my channel today. Today I'm bringing you guys this beautiful, gorgeous, like blinged out, glittery extra set. So I hope you guys enjoy watching the process of how I created this look, and let me know if you guys ever want to recreate it or anything like that. That would be awesome to see. So to start off, I'm just gluing on my nail tips. I did do the pop-off method, which I put cuticle oil and then I put a matte gel polish just so these nails will pop right off for the purposes of content creation. But I'm gluing on my nail tips. You want to make sure that they are fitting sidewall to sidewall without having to force too much pressure. If you force too much pressure, the nail is more likely to pop off, so you want to be careful you're not doing that. And you want to make sure the nail is not too big, because that'll end up making your nail shape look weird. You can accidentally apply acrylic to the skin. And these are a size 3XL Citinelli sets. I will link them in the description box below. 3XL are so extra. It's been a while since I've done 3XL. Normally I do 2XL, but I've definitely been missing that extra length. And with that extra length, I think it makes them look so much more stunning. I feel like it makes them stand out a little bit more. So using some nail glue just to glue those on, and then I don't really blend the tips or anything, just for the purposes of like content creation, YouTube. But if you're doing a client or you want your nails to last, that definitely helps. Real quick though, 88% of y'all are not subscribed to my videos, so go ahead and subscribe for more content, and it really helps my channel if you guys like, share, comment, hit that notification bell so you guys get notified when I do post. And getting into acrylic application, I'm using a size 12, I believe, either a 12 or 14. I was using a size 16 before, but I think that a size, whatever size this is, like 12 or 14, works so much better for me, especially when getting into that cuticle application. It really helps to have a smaller size, so I can really get into that space between the cuticle and the acrylic, and it helps me seal the cuticle. And this is Dynamic Nail Supply 178. I just got this not too long ago. It is such a stunning color. I'm really liking the darker pinks, and I've been looking for more darker toned acrylics for, you know, my skin tone. I just feel like when I use really bright nudes or like any peachy tone nudes, it looks so bad on my skin. So I find myself lately leaning more towards the like dark pink acrylics, and this was $6 for 1 ounce or $8 for 2 ounces. I mean, that price is like insane. It's such a good deal, and then the consistency is really cool to work with as well. Like, as you guys can see, it's super buttery. It has like a medium setting time, so I think it's really great for beginners as well. And as you guys can see, I'm putting the cuticle bead away from the cuticle and then pushing it back up, blending that down a little bit. And you want to use a gentle pressure when you're blending that down, because you still want to keep the apex. And as you guys can see, I'm like pushing that acrylic as close as possible into the cuticle and keeping my brush between the skin. And this is another way you can kind of seal the cuticle during application, is just trying to get that cuticle bead as close to the cuticle area as possible without touching the skin, trying to make it as flush as possible to the natural nail, and you know, doing all that without touching the skin. So going in with my beads, I give it a couple seconds before I place the bead to polymerize and have that little chemical reaction to get like the perfect consistency, and also to let it get a little bit more firm. As you can see, I'm gently tapping it down the nail, letting gravity help me and work with me. And as the bead sets a little bit more, then you can start to use a little bit more pressure and start using the body of the brush to brush it down. So when your product is soft, you want to use very light pressure. Hold your brush at the end of the brush. Use the tip of your brush to kind of guide that down. But then as your product sets, use the body of the brush and it'll give you more pressure. So yeah, once it's set, I start to use the body of the brush to kind of just brush the rest of that product down. Really making sure my brush is nice and flat when I go into that cuticle area. Again, I'm placing, this is I would say a large bead, placing that, keeping it on the natural nail and just gently tapping it down to guide it down the nail with the tip of my brush. And then as you can see, as it gets firmer, I'm using the body. So that's another important thing to keep in mind, especially if you're a beginner, is just the pressure you're using, how fast you're going in. I remember when I was barely starting out, I would like place the bead on my nail and just like wipe that shit away so fast and wonder why I was like wasting all my acrylic. You just gotta like wait and let it set a little bit. And of course in the cold weather, it's going to be, you know, a little runnier. It's going to take longer time to set, and then when it's super hot, it's going to set really, really fast. So you just have to learn to also adjust to those temperature changes and how they do affect your products. The monomer I'm using is the Causmic Smooth Set monomer. I've used this kind of forever. Like, the only other monomer I've ever used would be the Young Nails one, but that one's just kind of pricey. This Causmic one works well for me, and it's, I want to say $45 for 32 ounces, so it's a pretty good deal. I think the only thing is it does kind of smell, but I mean, that could be counteracted with an air purifier, some like scent monomer drops, and just keeping your windows open and stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend it. I like it a lot, and I feel like it's definitely just the bang for your buck. Let me know if you guys have any monomer recommendations though, because I would be open to trying something new. But yeah, as you guys can see, this acrylic powder is super easy to work with, super buttery. I'm just in love with the color too. I'm sorry if you guys can hear the crows. I have my window open because it's kind of warm, but bro, like behind my apartment is like just these like hiking trails and stuff like that. And the amount of nature we hear is so crazy. We hear like peacocks, turkeys, crows, sometimes like coyotes. It's insane. So sorry if you guys hear that. They're very loud too. Have you guys ever So the application was looking pretty good. I did off camera go in and just use a little bit of clear to build up the apex a little bit. I try to use as thin of layers as pigment as possible so I can save money in product doing that. So I will apply like a very thin layer of my pigment and then go in with clear to build up any structure or thickness that I need. So I'm going in with a like Typhoon bit. This is a medium grit in I think like 15,000 to 17,000 RPMs, just to debulk and do any like beginning filing that I don't want to do by hand. So I'm just taking down product, making sure I stabilize my hand with my pinky, and since the nail is super long, I am going like up and down vertically, but you know, if you have shorter nails, it's probably easier to do horizontally, but you know, just do whatever works for you. Just make sure you're taking your time, make sure that you're being safe with this because you can cut yourself, so definitely be safe with it. And I'm kind of just going in the areas. I look at my nails from a bunch of different angles to try and see what needs to be debulked, what needs to be filed down, what needs to be perfected. And oh god, I was getting so annoyed because my pinky is like super short and the glove kept getting caught in the file. I think in this filing portion, you can like literally see me ripping off the like the pinky end of the glove because I was just like so over it. But yeah, going in, just making sure to try and debulk, and then after I do this step, I will go in with my fine grit sanding band at a speed of like 9,000 RPMs to go in and seal the cuticle and then just kind of like get a smoother finish. So starting off with the nail art, I'm using a long WISTONIA liner brush just to create that little French outline, and then I decided to do some like squiggly abstract French design rather than just a normal French. So I'm just going in creating little random swoops and curves, to be honest, like whatever I think looks good. Really no rhyme or reason. I'm just going in and freestyling with my brush, low-key. Just going in and making sure that and for the nails that I do want to do some type of nail art or French tip or gel art on, I do apply either like a base coat or a top coat just to give it a really smooth surface. I find that when I don't use a base or a top coat, the gel can tend to bleed into the lines that you created when you buff. So I just like this to get a really smooth application of the gel product, and then also just like really smooth lines. Again, going in with some swirlies, I was kind of inspired by like butterfly, like if you see like children's illustrations, I guess, of like butterflies and they have those little dotted path that they're going. That was kind of what I was inspired by, because I'm going to add a butterfly charm on this nail. And when you're doing sugar glitter, you just want to make sure that that product is uncured. Sprinkle your glitter on, and then you go ahead and cure it, and you know, dust off any excess after 60 seconds. So right here I'm going with a blooming gel. I wanted to do a kind of like pink and white marble effect, but I think they just blended way too much and it didn't happen. It was low-key a fail, but I just kind of left it because, and I still think it looked okay, but definitely not the look that I was going for. But you know, it's all good. It still looked good, and like I wasn't too worried about the French line being clean because I was going to go in with some rhinestone application anyway. But as you can see, I loaded up my brush with like pink and white, but it just ended up blending way too much. I should have like, I guess, applied the pink and white and just swirled them around with a dotting tool instead. But you know, you live and you learn. So getting into these acrylic flowers, I did use the McCart rhinestone glue to apply my rhinestones, and then I'm using Young Nail Speed White for this. I think using Young Nail Speed White is, or any type of like speed white, is really good for doing acrylic flowers. They're less likely to bleed, and then they set super fast, so you don't have to take as much time, since doing acrylic flowers is kind of time consuming. But I'm just using my PANA size 4 3D acrylic brush, placing that bead, kind of making it like a little tip, since this is like the petal, the teardrop shape like petal. So I'm going in and doing that, and then just kind of letting it set a little bit and making my flower shape. And then I'm going to be doing 3 little petals on the side, just giving it a little bit of time to set before I start to manipulate it. And then this brush makes 3D art like super easy. I would highly recommend this brush. It's pretty affordable too. You can find most of the products I use are in my Amazon storefront. I do get a little commission if you guys use that, so thank you so much if you guys do. I really appreciate it. And if not, that's cool too, like no pressure. But yeah, I'm just going in. Definitely recommend this brush though. If you guys are doing like acrylic flowers or want to get into them, this brush makes it easier. It's the shape is perfect, and then the firmness of the bristles is really good too. So again, just going in, forming that, tapping. And the main thing you want to look out for when you're doing acrylic flowers like this is just that your white beads are not too wet, because then they'll start to like bleed everywhere. And I do recommend doing like a top coat on this or something first. I don't know why I didn't. I usually do. But if you kind of misplace the white on just like a freshly buffed nail, it's hard to get rid of the white pigment on the nail. So definitely like do a top coat or a base coat before you start all this. But yeah, placing them, giving them a little bit of time to set. Like, this is sped up, so you know, it's not, this part is not real time, so I'm just giving a little bit of time to set and sit there before I start to manipulate the flower petals the way I want them to be. But this is the look. Let me know what you guys think of it. I love it so much. It took a minute to do, but I think it was well worth it. This is so stunning, especially for spring. It just reminds me of like beautiful flowers, you know, it's sunny outside, glittery, baddie, bougie. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.